informant Yaku Hanekom, who was a civilian appointed to work with the EMPD. So really a criminal case against EMPD officers involved in allegations of copper cable theft from a plot in Meyerton. We saw video footage of that, and Hanekom, we know, was shot and killed in a drive-by shooting. On that very same day, the implicated EMPD officers were released from prison by being granted bail, and Hanekom had provided this video footage of EMPD officers arriving at the plot where Brigadier Mkhwanazi was seen later arriving. And of course the involvement of civilians, also a question put to the forefront as Spies was asked about the role of a civilian. Should a civilian be driving an EMPD allocated vehicle? And Spies saying that it was rather strange that a civilian was seen at
Madlanga Commission, and more than 50,000 civilians detained in Sudan. For SAFM News, I'm Ondelambana, and a very good day. Retired Guruleni Metro Deputy Chief of Police Revo Space has testified how the safety of officials, including that of the mayor, was left to CAT VIP security protection and the city's VIP protection. Space's testimony centers around the irregular relationship between the Guruleni Metro Police Department and attempted murder-accused Cat Matala's VIP security company. This was a result of an unlawful memorandum of understanding signed between EMPD Acting Police Chief Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi and Matala Security Company Cat VIP. Space elaborates.
Officers that was protecting the mayor at that stage, even they, much later, the one officer actually emigrated to Australia. That officer sent WhatsApp this year to us, when he stated that when he arrived on the scene to pick up the mayor, there was 2 vehicles at that scene waiting already. And when he asked them who they are, they said they are Special Task Force. So you make an assumption that it's from South African Police Service. However, while they were driving, he did the inquiry and he verified them. And the one vehicle came out on CAT VIP.
The TRC cases inquiry has been adjourned until the 26th of November. This is to allow NPA and the Justice Ministry to file a formal application for the recusal of Commission Evidence Leader Advocate Ishmael Semenya. The Justice Ministry has objected to the process that it says Semenya has taken in making an agreement with 6 of the parties that will testify without its input. Meanwhile, the NPA's objection is based on the fact that Semenya advised it on its prosecutorial policy at some time in the past, saying it is therefore inappropriate for him to be involved in the commission where the NPA is a respondent. Commission Chairperson, retired Justice Khampempe, delivered the order.
The National Prosecuting Authority and the Department of Justice are to file their founding papers in the application for recusal by Wednesday, the 12th of November, and answer thereto by Monday, the 18th of November.
The High Court in Pretoria has ruled that the state may not question accused number 1 in the Senzomeyiwa murder trial, Muzi Sibia, about the alleged confession statement of a co-accused Wangani Ndanzi. This while, on the other hand, the defense argued Ndanzi's statement cannot be used against others. Sibia and 4 others are on trial for the 2014 murder of the Bafana captain. Presiding Judge Rata Mukwatleng ruled that no pronouncement has been made yet regarding the confession statement, as the case is still ongoing.
Baloi's attempt to take statement of accused number 2, and that is frowned upon. Consequently, also it infringes Section 35 of the Constitution regarding the freedom of a litigant or an accused person to give evidence and attack the evidence of a co-accused if he so desires.
The community of Westbury in Johannesburg has expressed frustration and anger after not being invited to a ministerial stakeholder engagement this morning. The meeting is being attended by top police brass, including National Police Commissioner General Fani Masemula and his Gauteng counterpart Tommy Mtombeni. The engagement, which will also be held in Reha Park in Ekurhuleni this afternoon, comes after both communities recently witnessed mass killings which have been attributed to gang violence. Sasha Naidu reports.
Westbury community leaders who were barred from attending the stakeholder engagement this morning morning at the Joburg Metro Police Headquarters say it's unacceptable to hold such an important meeting without hearing their concerns from the ground. It's understood that only a few members from the community were invited to attend. Some community leaders say that they've again witnessed the same pattern of exclusion and staged engagements. The media who were initially invited to the meeting were also asked to leave at the last minute. Sasha Naidu, SABC News, Sophia Town.
Sources in Sudan say the paramilitary rapid support forces are detaining more than 50,000 civilians in 5 locations across Al Fashar in North Darfur, preventing them from leaving the city. Witnesses accuse the RSF of forcing captives to record ransom messages to their families. Sudanese doctors have called for international investigation. The BBC's Temesgen Debesai reports.
Since seizing El Fasher from the army last month, the RSF has faced mounting accusations of widespread abuses against civilians. Reports of killings, rape, looting, and arbitrary detentions, all denied by the paramilitary group, have drawn international condemnation. A Sudanese doctors' union also said the RSF has been removing hundreds of bodies from the streets to conceal atrocities committed there.
Recapping the top story, retired Ekurhuleni Metro Deputy Chief of Police Rivo Spies has testified how the safety of officials, including that of the mayor, was left to CAT VIP security protection and the city's VIP protection. I'm Lambana for SFM News Headlines at 1:30.
This November, SFM proudly presents the 3rd annual lecture.
And as the Freedom Charter says, no legitimate government could claim authority unless it is based on the will of the people. And I think sometimes people forget that.
SFM invites you to our 3rd annual public lecture, delivered by Chancellor of the Nelson Mandela University, Dr. Geraldine Fraser-Moleketi. The theme of the lecture is Confronting Inequality, Corruption and Unemployment, Rebuilding South Africa's Social Contract for Inclusive and Sustainable Growth. The lecture will take place on the 27th of November 2025 at the Indaba Hotel, Spa and Conference Center in Fourways, Johannesburg. Secure your seat by emailing us at rsvp@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. X at SAFM Radio and at ms_Ndikumana.
At PNet. We follow these conversations with looking at stages, pages, screens, and more as South African photography takes center stage in Paris. And we do that with Jabulani Mhlangini. And that is your first hour of the show. I know that we're also going to be breaking away into your SABC Education Kids Corner. And that is how we slate off the very first show. In the second hour, we are going to be covering the Madlanga Commission. So please do stay tuned for that. We'd love to hear from you this afternoon. Find us on WhatsApp 061-410-4107. Find us on X at SAFM Radio. And then lastly, if you want to send through a text message, it will come at the cost of R1.50, 41391.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. This November, SAFM proudly presents the 3rd annual lecture.
And as the Freedom Charter says, no legitimate government could claim authority unless it is based on the will of the people. And I think sometimes people forget that.
SAFM invites you to our 3rd annual public lecture, delivered by Chancellor of the Nelson Mandela University, Dr. Geraldine Fraser-Moleketi. The theme of the lecture is Confronting Inequality, Corruption and Unemployment, Rebuilding South Africa's Social Contract for Inclusive and Sustainable Growth. The lecture will take place on the 27th of November 2025 at the Indaba Hotel, Spa and Conference Center in Fourways, Johannesburg. Secure your seat by emailing us at rsvp@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
11 minutes after 1 p.m., SAFM invites you to our 3rd annual public lecture delivered by Chancellor of the Nelson Mandela University. This is Dr. Geraldine Fraser-Moleketi. The lecture will take place on the 27th of November 2025 at the Indaba Hotel, Spa and Conference Center in Fourways, Johannesburg. under the theme Confronting Inequality, Corruption and Unemployment, Rebuilding South Africa's Social Contract for Inclusive and Sustainable Growth. Again, secure your seats by emailing us. Find us on rsvp@safm.co.za.
With the ever-changing financial landscape, it can be difficult to make sense of all the moves at times. Join me, Jimmy Moyaha, on the SAFM Market Update with MoneyWeb, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 to 7 p.m, as we break down the key market trends, top financial stories, and smart investment insights, all in one place. It's everything you need to stay financially informed and ahead of the curve.
Send a voice note to Shailandi Kumana right now. 0614 104 107.
Retired Ekurhuleni Metropolitan Police Department Deputy Chi Rivo Spies, who worked for the EMPD official for 33 years, continues with his testimony at the Madlanga Commission. We're joined by SABC News reporter Sibahle Mota for more. Good afternoon, Sibahle. Let's just start off with giving an update on what's going on.
Good afternoon to you and to the listeners. So I think what is important with these in just highlighting just how infiltrated part of the company of our and what he said with the that was signed by and he signed that was thing in it is the implication of memorandum signed with the Ketmatala. When Ketmatala is a VIP company involved in crucial operations that only the authorized team could only have access to. So one case point was as okay was some reports where 11 men were arrested trying to rob the target point. It was and what Masala's company was also involved in high level operations. It was late. So I think the testimony is important in how much level was by these alleged criminals had information that no ordinary should have or even private companies should have, and these things actually compromise even him complaining about the fact that it now sounds like this memorandum of understanding has made reporting had not become. So I think his testimony is really crucial to show how quickly Kedmatala as a security company was able to up and sorry
Yeah. Let's touch base on the support. You've just made mention of it, the robbery that there is an alleged accusation thereof. What exactly is the entail on that? Are we seeing that we're coming to an understanding that this is valid, or are we still in the process of just receiving his testimony?
So what we do understand is that some of these cases that we would how with the IP, so there is, enough so that we have by a with I mean, so this one that we other cases as well that we refer to IP from work doing that was is near them for the metropolitan start that they were involved in murder and in how they know how business out. But again, having a private company under the city, unlawfully having aid to operate means doing of the and just presenting to the only seeing how their tentacles and how corrupt of the
Are we getting any response or rebuttal from Umkhwanazi at this stage?
not definitely not. So I think if you just wait because this is one of the things for the so just same fit in the give and
I believe we lost Usbahle there, joining us this afternoon. Sbahle Mota, SABC News reporter, just giving us the latest on the Madlanga Commission looking at retired Ekurhuleni Metropolitan Police Department, that is the EMPD. Deputy Chi Rivo Spies coming in, who worked for the EMPD for 33 years, and how his testimony continues. We will catch up in the second hour of the show. I understand that Sbahle is back with us. Sbahle, do you want to just finish your thought there?
yes, that the from these how sort of corruption put it more in this is not the kind of for
Sure. Sbahle, I think we'll leave it here for now. Thank you so much for joining us.
This Monday evening at 7 on My Design Rules, our duos tackle the final space upstairs, the primary ensuite bedroom. This is the homeowner's sanctuary and a chance for the duos to express their creativity through design. They've reached the halfway mark in the competition, and each week is one step closer to the grand prize of up to 600,000 Rand in cash. Join us Monday evening at 7, repeat Saturday at 2, and Sunday at 4 p.m. Only on S3.
Stay on top of all meaningful, top trending stories right here on SAFM. Leading the conversation.
It is 19 minutes after 1 p.m. If you have just joined us, welcome to the Full Circle. Shayla Ndikumana standing in for Bridget Masinga. Let's talk about hiring your first employee. Now, this can be a defining moment for your small business story. Although this big step could help you accelerate growth and improve your profitability, it also comes with some risks. Now, finding the right person will help you reach your business goals, of course, but the wrong hire could sap your momentum. And of course, there are people who understand this through their own personal experience. Here to help us guide our way forward is Cresswell Jonar, who is a SME sales manager at PNet. Thank you so much for joining us, Cresswell. Welcome to the Full Circle.
Hi, good afternoon, Shayla, and good afternoon to your listeners.
Let's just start off with looking at why hiring your first employee is such a milestone.
Well, I would say, Shayla, obviously there's no one size, but hiring your first employee is about it should be in that moving from doing everything yourself to actually the team out.
Cresswell, I want to gauge the ability to be able to delegate. For the most part, what I do notice is that people who are sole proprietors who run their own businesses tend to want to keep everything to self. And so delegating, does that come easily? Are you aware of the reality that it is time for you to share responsibility, and are you comfortable giving that away as well?
Exactly. That's one of the things that you as a business need down and just get that from first thing and then trying to find the person that we have. So find that might need somebody that has got a bit of experience then for the training. That is one of the areas that you sure certain value
Cresswell, the reality is that that very person you speak of is probably a generalist, right? Somebody who has dabbled here and there and everywhere. And so the price point in terms of salary might be a bit of an interesting one. What are some of the things we need to consider when we're looking at our first hire?
Well, as far as salary is concerned, I mean, they kind of have a because uh, of a lot of uh, who yes, you know, that knowing the role and then with some
Yeah. Cresswell, we are talking about the realities of having an individual who will not only come work for you, but partner with you to an extent, right? How do we describe this in our job description? Because you're not looking for just the next individual, the next employee. You're looking for somebody who is firstly capacitated to wear many hats, but also is willing to go the extra mile to ensure that your business does see a profit margin.
yeah. I mean, looking at somebody that's going to be adaptable, then your mindset, also forward hearing, if it but also see that but it's not good really the no the can be up and cross not if the phone.
The voice there of Cresswell Yonar, who is SME Sales Manager at PNet, helping us get ready for that very first hire. If you are a small business, if you have questions, do find us on WhatsApp 061 410 4107. Cresswell, let's look at talent. What are the main descriptors for talent? How are we describing this? How are we ensuring that we are getting people who are fit for purpose, not just knowledge wise, but also talent wise?
So in terms of talent, there are many business platforms one could achieve, like Enet, simplify that process for you because you now have 5 and billions of users and actually those databases and
Mm. And what of the processing, the vetting process? You are a business owner. You don't necessarily have HR skill sets. And so how do you maneuver around that?
so moving around things like that. First and foremost, as I've mentioned before, you must be aware that you also have to look at asking situational questions, and then come to the legalities around it. Stuff go in order. You know, by things that are contract, of course, you need to be professional.
Yeah. Let's talk about that professional advice for a second. Where does one turn to? Because not only are we saying we need to have situational conversations with this potential hire, but we're also saying SARS needs to be in check, pay needs to be checked, UIF, and this might feel a bit too much for somebody who's running a business solo. And so who do they turn to?
Oh, I mean, for one, you can always, if you need yes, you can always reach out to me. Doing our function in the right direction, if you like. You are, you know, just paperwork for you. You can also, once that's what.
Mm. Let's talk about the onboarding process. What does that look like for a small business?
So with the onboarding, it's actually very crucial that you bring in business people trust, make you, you know, get and look at then what you do and use all high something. That is the board that you want to say, will do something, but you of course, again, but
Yeah. Let's look at some of the misconceptions, the myths that potentially exist for your clients who have come to you to say, listen, Cresswell, I've been running this business for 5 years. I know that we can push our profits and I want to hire somebody, but these are the things I'm looking at. And you found these not to necessarily be true. But what are some of the misconceptions, the myths that people believe about that first hire?
Sometimes it's because, processes are being rushed. So I find out that the action is not the right put unique stuff first in trying to ensure that what you are going to do on it is for the that will do. And you don't think something because as a small business owner, the reason for the hire is because so you might have not focusing on what you have been doing, but now the to work now, despite out of the locality some. Those are some of the things that you need to consider.
And Cresswell, let's talk about the expectations from he or she or they who is hiring, right? I think to an extent you could get lost in the idea that this person is there to take away half of the burden, but that's not necessarily true. And so, as somebody who is going to hire the next, what am I to expect from this particular person? How can I set measurable standards of expectation?
Yeah, when you're doing your interview processes, you need to obviously look for it who can find a somebody that can always bring because they are being to do more work. So find that you need.
Cresswell, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. And have a wonderful day.
The voice of SME sales manager at PNet, that is Cresswell Jonah, joining us. It is 29 minutes after 1 p.m. Welcome to the Full Circle. Shayla standing in for Bridget Masinga. We are about to break away into the news, but before we do that, I'd love to hear from you this afternoon. Please do find us on WhatsApp, 061 410 4107, on X. It is at SAFM Radio. And then lastly, you can send through a text message at the cost of R1.50. 41391. Let's get the latest in news with Onde Lambana.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
Thank you. And on the news headlines, retired Guruleni Metro Deputy Chief of Police Rivers Face has testified how the safety of officials, including that of the mayor, was left to CAT VIP security protection and the city's VIP protection. Families of victims of apartheid-era state-sponsored violence have expressed disappointment at the adjournment of proceedings of the TRC case inquiry just as it kicked off today. And South Korean prosecutors have indicated the former President Yoon Suk-yeol on charges of abusing power and aiding an enemy state. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. SAFM commemorates Disability Rights Awareness Month under the theme Celebrating 30 Years of Democracy, creating strategic, multi-sectoral partnerships for a disability-inclusive society. SAFM supports and works tirelessly towards equity and equality for those living with disabilities. Empowerment is key. Let us break the barriers and improve the quality of life for those living with disabilities. Our efforts towards a better life for those living with disabilities can only be impactful when we do so together. We do not tolerate any kind of discrimination. Disability Awareness Month 2025 on SAFM 104 to 107 FM nationwide, leading the conversations that move us.
31 after 1 p.m. We have heard some of the commentary coming in with respect to the Madlanga Commission. Let's have a listen to some of your voice notes.
because there's a chain of criminals that are involved there. We've got JMP, we have clean drivers, we have cross road drivers. You never know. You never know who's selling you out. Even the people who are loading the stock, they've all come. It's safe. To be a truck driver in Sheila is not safe. By that testimony, you can tell that and then they are found all of a sudden, and then the stock is missing. Yeah. Good luck to my fellow truckers. Good luck on the road, especially now. Let for these wrong people around us. Good afternoon, Leader and the listeners. You are speaking to David. You know, when this thing started, when I was speaking about food, most of us, it was only those who. But now you can see that how big this is and how far it has scattered all over the our law enforcement. So really, South Africa is in problem, in deep problem. If this was maybe investigated by a private law firm or international uh, court, those who are independent, who are not biased, I think if not 99, 90% of the National Congress representatives were going straight to me. Really, this is too much. I just hope South Africans are watching, taking note of this. Don't take this lightly.
Absolutely. Hearing your thoughts and views on the Madlanga Commission, that voice note, the very last coming in, just addressing the reality of the rife state of corruption in the context of South Africa. Freddie, the truck driver, coming in before that and just sharing his concerns with respect to how for the level of corruption and how it affects truck drivers and how there is a reality of the lack of safety in that industry. If you want to share your thoughts, your views, do find us on WhatsApp. The number is 061 410 4107. We're going to break away from the flow of content and jump straight into our kids' corner. Let's have a listen to this.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
Hello, friends, and welcome to our Monday edition of Kids Corner. I hope you're all having a wonderful day and feeling ready to learn and share together. Today, let's talk about something really important: respect. What does the word respect mean to you? How do you show respect to yourself every day? What are some ways you can show respect to other people like your friends, teachers, and family members? How do you feel when someone treats you with respect? And why do you think the world would be a better place if everyone respected each other? Respect is one of those things that make the world a kinder, happier, and more peaceful place, starting with how we treat each other and those around us. All right, let's hear from some of our friends while you share your answers with the people next to you.
Hello everyone, my name is Ashley Kalamba. To me, respect means showing care and kindness to others and also myself. It's about understanding that everyone deserves to be treated with dignity, no matter who they are. I show respect to myself by keeping good habits, believing in my worth, and not letting negative things bring me down. I show respect to others by listening when they speak, using kind words, and helping when I can. When someone treats me with respect, I feel seen, valued, and happy. I think the world would be a much better place if everyone respected each other because we'd have more peace, love, and understanding instead of conflict.
My name is Nzalo Mishwana and I'm 8 years old. Respect means treating others the way you wanted to be treated. I can show respect to myself by taking care of myself and loving myself. I can show respect to other people by listening to them when they speak to me and answering them well. I feel good when people treat me with respect. The world would be a better place if everyone respected each other because everyone will feel appreciated and loved.
Hi, my name is Danny Kowit and I'm 15 years old. For me, respect means to treat others the way you want to be treated and being considerate towards others. You could respect yourself by practicing self-care, setting personal boundaries and being kinder to yourself and not criticizing your every move. You can respect others by being kind, respecting boundaries and respecting their culture, religion and their way of doing things. When someone treats me with respect, it makes me feel valued and appreciated. If everyone respected each other, there would be less conflict in the world and more trust in each other, and the world would be much more peaceful. Thank you.
Good day, friends. My name is Perfect and David Ikena Eze, and I am 11 years old, learning in Parktown Public School. The word respect means honor to your elders, not only to your elders, but to the younger. For example, having a young one that is disrespecting elders, you can respect that elder. He will learn from you, he or she will learn from you, and they will change. The way I can show respect to myself every day is by keeping a good hygiene and also making my elders happy. Ways I can show respect to other people like my friends, teachers, or family are by greeting them, by appreciating them also, and serving them in a good way, including running errands for them. The way I feel when somebody treats me with respect, I feel very happy. I feel honored and excited that we don't have much bad people on the land. It's because respect builds good spirits and also builds homes with love. As English language says, respect is as a reciprocal. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Yolanda Mzobe. I am 12 years old. Respect means treating others with dignity, valuing their opinions, and acknowledging their worth as individuals, even when you disagree. How can you show respect to yourself every day? By not letting other people's opinions about you control you. Don't speak badly about yourself. Don't let anybody force you to be or do anything you don't want to do or be. Simple, gain their approval or friendship. Don't violate your own moral codes. Some ways you can show respect to other people like friends, teachers, or family by respect personal space and personal property. Understand everyone has their own experience and beliefs. Speak up if others around you are being disrespectful. When someone respects me, it leads me to happiness and a boost in self-esteem. I think the world would be a better place if everyone respected each other because respecting others will bring peace and dignity to different types of people. The world can become a better place to live if everyone gives respect and gets it in return. Thank you, everyone.
My name and surname is Elvish Mpembe. Yes, I respect all people I come across. My parents encourage us to have respect for everyone. They tell us that we must be kind and show good morals wherever we are. At school, I help my teachers and friends. At home, I listen to my parents and siblings to show that I am respectful. I warn people against disrespect. Being respectful goes a long way because one day when you need help, the people you respected might be happy to help.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name is Dembe Ramadi. I respect everyone I come across to. My mom taught me the importance to respect. Things I do to show that I'm respectful, I always say please and thank you. I help and say excuse me and sorry. What I would do and say when I see a child my age being disrespectful, I would say please stop being disrespectful to others. Is that being disrespectful is bad. You will grow up disrespecting people and people won't like you. The importance of being respectful is when you respect everyone you come across. People will always love you, and you will always get help when you need it.
Thank you, friends. It's always great to hear from you. Today we're talking about a very powerful and important word, respect. Respect is one of the most beautiful gifts we can give to ourselves, to others, and to the world we live in. It's about showing kindness, care, and understanding through our words, actions, and choices every single day. When we talk about respect for yourself, it means loving who you are and taking care of your body, mind, and emotions. Eat healthy foods that give you energy, get enough sleep, and say good things to yourself even when you make mistakes. Nobody's perfect, and that's okay. Respecting yourself also means making good decisions that help you reach your goals, like studying, being honest, and choosing friends who will lift you up instead of bringing you down. Respect for others means seeing the value in every person, no matter their age, background, or differences. You can show it in small but powerful ways like greeting people politely with a smile, listening carefully when someone is speaking, helping classmates who are studying, saying please, thank you, and sorry when needed, following the rules at home and school. Respect also means accepting people for who they are, their culture, language, beliefs, and ideas, because that's what makes our world rich and diverse. When we feel respected, something amazing happens. We feel valued, loved, and confident. It gives us the courage to be kind and the strength to treat others the same way. Think about how happy it feels when someone listens to you, praises your efforts, or trusts you. That's what respect feels like in action. Now imagine a world where everyone practices respect. Classmates helping one another instead of teasing, families talking kindly instead of shouting, neighbors caring for each other, and communities living in peace. There would be less anger and more understanding, less bullying and more teamwork, fewer arguments and more smiles. So every day let's choose to speak kindly, listen with respect, care for ourselves and others, appreciate the world around us. Because when we live with respect, we help build a brighter, friendlier, and more loving world. One smile, one kind word, and one thoughtful action at a time. And remember, respect starts with you. That's it for today, friends. See you next time.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
You could spend 10 minutes waiting for that video to download. Or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. SMS out to 30754. Like 57-year-old Andy, who now pays only 1,083 Rand a month for his 2024 Ford Ranger. With Outsurance Comprehensive, you get 24/7 roadside assistance in case you break down, run out of petrol, lock your keys in the car, and more. Get used to getting more out. SMS out to 30754. After switching, 48-year-old Felicity now pays only 836 Rand a month for her 2020 Hyundai Tucson. Outsurance will either save you money on your car insurance or give you cash. That's right. If Outsurance can't beat what you're currently paying, ask them for 500 Rand. Make that 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Savings or cash, you have nothing to lose. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online. Limits apply.
Ready to connect, innovate, and be inspired? It's all happening at Africa's Tech Festival, where Africa's technology meets the world. From the 10th to the 13th of November in Cape Town, join global leaders, investors, and innovators driving the future of Africa's digital economy. Don't miss the continent's biggest week in tech. Get your pass now at africatechfestival.com.
Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations for hard talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows, and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers, and a whole country affected by gender-based violence. All on your favorite SABC radio station. Call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC. X at SFM Radio and at MS_Ndikumana.
It is 47 after 1 p.m. If you have just joined us again, the full circle with Shayla and Dikumana standing in for Bridget Masinga. Time for our next conversation. Now, today in conversation, we will be joined by one of South Africa's most evocative visual storytellers, Jabulani Dlamini, a renowned documentary photographer and a mentor with the Togoza based of Soul and Joy program. Dlamini's lens captures the delicate interplay between personal memory and collective history in the post-apartheid South Africa. Now, this week, his work takes center stage at the Photo Saint Germain Festival in Paris, France, where he will be joined by curator Valérie Furelol in dialogue, and this particular dialogue is titled "The Return: When Photography Links the Present with the Past." He joins us on the line all the way in Paris, I understand. Mr. Jabulani, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the Full Circle.
Hi, Shayla, and the listeners at home. How are you?
I am good. Listen,
Thank you for the call.
are we catching on a bit of French there?
Slowly but surely, I'm getting there. For
Yeah.
now, it's just I understand, but I can't speak yet.
No, we know the feeling. We know the feeling. Let's start off by
Yeah.
congratulating you, sir. I think it's an exceptional thing that you are out there representing South Africa. What does it mean for you as a South African artist to tell not just your story, but the story of nations?
Yeah, for me, it's a very important uh, uh, thing to happen. Because I've always, you know, traveling. Photography for me is always connected with, but not only traveling, because of photography to me is about spending a place for us to have conversations, but not only to have conversations at home, but to reach other places where we could reach far places as far as tourists. For me, it brings that hope. That we feel at home is very important and bring to other places. But it also gives hope. To give hope to that I'm mentoring, that talk with also that I'm see the stories going.
Now, this year's theme is the return when photography links the present with the past. I think that's rather powerful. What uh, what reference of present would be linked to what South Africa experienced in the past? And I can only imagine that this is displayed in some of your work.
Yes, yes. So I mean, the concept idea came about I mean, I work on young. He says we are our memory. We when you take our memory out, you take the meaning of our life. So he speaks of the the future, which is the present and the past. So my work normally I work with looking at the past, how the past is affecting the future, which is now. Because most of the important question in my work is what do we what do we do with the past, with this past that keeps on lingering. Because I like saying I was born in 1983. Those were dying times of apartheid, and a lot of things didn't make sense. For me to understand, I think photography became this thing. where I could assess my past, bring it to the present, and just think about it. And also, so creating the space for me and my grandparents and my parents and community at large to speak about the past. How the past have affected us.
Yeah. Mr. Dlamini, I think what's really interesting, you just referencing there Thiongo's work that speaks to memory and the importance of memory. You asked a very pertinent question, which is what do we do with the past? More often than not, we dress ourselves in the pain of the past. What do you think it is we ought to do with the past? Wisdom from the past is essential. Find us on WhatsApp, send through your questions, preferably in voice note form. I'd love to hear from you. I like doing that. The number is 061 on SMS at the cost of R1.50, 41391. You can call in this afternoon on 08600 or rather 6000 2032. And then lastly, find us on social media platforms. It is at SAFM Radio. We are going to continue conversations with Jabulani. He joins us again. Mr. Jabulani, we lost you there.
Yes, yes, no, sorry for that. In trying to say that I always like what being allows about a very hard conversation we need to have. And I love that, and for the past years is that, I've allowed photography, process, I call it is leaking. And for me, conversation, like the conversation that I normally have with people that I'm working with, it allows us to heal together, to heal, but also most importantly, to look at yourself. We've looked at someone for a long time, we thought healing is going to come, certain someone saying something to us. But one thing that I've realized is that work proposed self, which is looking at self, having conversation with self. So this photograph made for us to look at ourselves and to think about where do we want to see ourselves in the future. I think the beginning of it, this conversation. Yeah, I love youth, and like them, we contribute to what happens tomorrow. With us in this generation, we inherited this trauma from our parents. We didn't choose. We find ourselves in. And I think photography for me allows us to then contribute in what the next generation can do.
Mm. Mr. Dlamini, something that stands out for me is that photographs can be interpreted differently. Yes? Right? I think it's one of those art forms where I can see the triangle in the picture and you see the square. And so my question is more around that healing process, given that we have different perceived views of life. What is the thing that brings us together collectively through healing? Is it the conversation after observing the photography? Is it looking at the photography and seeing self and then beginning to have that conversation? Where does the point of healing start?
For me, the point of healing starts when we have conversation. So this photograph becomes just a starting point. They're not for me become that from the past, and sometimes unwanted from the past. But what we do is that we look at this photograph and those conversations later on talking about ourselves. And for me, I mean, because of my in terms of healing, I'm not that confident. But what I know is that what I've been doing is that for me, belief from the approach that I've been using, having conversations, understanding what happens and where we're going. Because one of the things that I've realized with you is that most of us were angry, but we're not there when this happened. And I realized that we inherited trauma from our parents past. And, and we don't know. It doesn't have like kind of, and there's nothing dangerous like this, where you are angry, but you don't know at what. And
Mm.
if we bring to this trauma, we know what we're dealing with going forward.
Exceptional. analysis, if you ask me. I think the reality that there is no identity to the trauma brings a very, very, very big problem. However, I love the fact that you're part of the solution. Let's talk about some of your work. So I understand that you're in Paris, you're in Brussels, you're doing quite a bit, good sir. You're reshaping the narrative when it comes to South African visual art. What does this mean for you, firstly? And then, secondly, what kind of messaging would you want our global audience to receive with respect to South Africa?
Yeah, for me, I mean, it's a relic, it's a great thing, and one message that I love for over we into Japan is that it's to get the vibrant in South Africa, because I do believe if people can pass the stage where, like what I'm talking about in terms of the healing, we can get to access who we are, because we are very vibrant, very loving, very caring country, and hence I'm saying that we need to use the mirror to remove those few things, and then we get to be accessed in a better way.
Hmm.
I don't know if it answers your question.
Yeah, you absolutely did. Mr. Jabulani, listen, we are going to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us. And then we're going to say bye to each other in French, Anker, just for practice sake. Yes? I do believe we lost Mr. Jabulani. Mr. Jabulani, are you with us? Oh no, we lost Mr.
Yes,
Jabulani. You
yeah,
with us?
yes, I can hear you.
Oh, I do think we are losing
Uh,
him. It is a minute before 2 p.m. Central. This round of bye in French. The voice there of renowned photographer, that is Jabulani Dlamini, joining us on the line, representing South Africa all the way in Paris. We're excited to see what that will bring in terms of, firstly, just awareness around South African art, but also the story of South Africa and the ashes which it has risen from. If you want to send through your thoughts, your views, perhaps you're going to be in Paris. Who knows? Let me not even cord you off. Perhaps you are there right now. You're saying, Shayla, I am there. Send us a voice note. I'd love to hear from you this afternoon. 061 410 4107. The name of the festival is Photo Saint Germain Festival in Paris, France. Time for the news update with Onde Lambana.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
Thank you, Shayla. On the top stories, 5 people injured in another shooting in Cape Town, and Matlala's VIP security under scrutiny at Madlanga Commission. For SAFM News, I'm Ondelambana, and a very good day. 5 people have been shot and wounded in Feesatnekral near Durbanville in Cape Town. The incident happened last night. Police spokesperson Wesley Twigg says officers responded to a complaint of a shooting on the corner of Dula Omar and Yolandi Dupree's streets. He says the circumstances surrounding the incident are under investigation and arrests are yet to be made.
According to reports, the victims were standing on the corner when a blue Toyota Tazz drove up to them and opened fire, wounding the victims before fleeing the scene.
Retired Guruleni Metro Deputy Chief of Police Revo Spies has testified how the safety of officials, including that of the mayor, was left to CAT VIP security protection and the city's VIP protection. Spies' testimony centers around the irregular relationship between the Guruleni Metro Police Department and the attempted murder-accused CAT Matlala's VIP security company. This was as a result of an unlawful memorandum of understanding signed between EMPD Acting Police Chief Julius Mkwanazi and Matlala Security Company, CAT VIP. Spies elaborates.
Officers that was protecting the mayor at that stage, even they, much later, the one officer has actually emigrated to Australia. That officer has sent WhatsApp this year to us, wherein he stated that when he arrived on the scene to pick up the mayor, there was 2 vehicles at that scene waiting already. And when he asked them who they said they are Special Task Force. So you make an assumption that it's from South African Police Service. However, while they were driving, he did the inquiry and he verified them. And the one vehicle came out on CAT VIP.
Families of victims of apartheid-era state-sponsored violence have expressed disappointment at the adjournment of proceedings of the TRC case inquiry just as it kicked off today. Inquiry chairperson and retired Constitutional Court Justice Sisi Hampempe postponed the public hearings until the 26th of November to allow the NPA and Justice Ministry to make a formal application for the recusal of one of the Commission evidence leaders, Advocate Ishmael Semenya. Tembi Simelane is sister to Nokutula Simelane, an MK activist who was abducted, tortured and forcibly disappeared by members of the security branch of the apartheid police in 1983.
The state is not discovering today that there's an enrollment of Advocate Siminya as part of the leaders of evidence. If they had a challenge with that, which I possibly understand because it emanates from a 2008 matter where I took, together of course with the CREDOC 4, we took the government to court on the basis of victims on the review of the policy on TRC, which we won, and it was found to be unconstitutional. So for them, at the time of the announcement of the inquiry and the registration of Advocate Semenya, not to deal with the issue and come and deal with it on day one of the trial, I think it's actually taking us and our pain more and further.
South Korean prosecutors have indicted the former president Yoon Suk Yeol on new charges of abusing power and aiding an enemy state. It's alleged that he ordered drone flights over North Korea to create tensions aimed at justifying his martial law declaration. The BBC's Jay Kwon has the latest.
North Korea accused South Korea of flying a drone and dropping propaganda leaflets over their capital city, Pyongyang. And many of us in Seoul were confused because, one, South Korea neither confirmed or denied it. And second, it was very unusual for South Korea to drop the leaflets all the way up in Pyongyang. And for what goal? It wasn't very clear. Now we're hearing from the South Korean authorities that it was, in fact, the President Yoon himself who ordered it. And it becomes even more difficult to believe the more we learn about it because the accusation is that Mr. Yoon wanted the North Korean to strike back, at which point there could be a limited war between the two Koreas.
Recapping the top story, 5 people have been shot and wounded in Fisatekral near Durbanville in Cape Town. The incident happened last night. I am on Delambana for SFM News Headlines at 2:30.
This November, SFM proudly presents the 3rd annual lecture.
And as the Freedom Charter says, no legitimate government could claim authority unless it is based on the will of the people. And I think sometimes people forget that.
SAFM invites you to our 3rd annual public lecture, delivered by Chancellor of the Nelson Mandela University, Dr. Geraldine Fraser Muleketi. The theme of the lecture is Confronting Inequality, Corruption and Unemployment, Rebuilding South Africa's Social Contract for Inclusive and Sustainable Growth. The lecture will take place on the 27th of November 2025 at the Indaba Hotel, Spa and Conference Center in Four Ways, Johannesburg. Secure your seat by emailing us at rsvp@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Afternoon Express is proud to be nominated in multiple categories at the 3rd Annual National Film and TV Awards taking place on Saturday, the 22nd of November. And you can add your voice by voting. Visit nationalfilmacademy.com, register and vote for Afternoon Express in the Best Entertainment Show category, Palisa Tembe for Best TV Presenter, and myself, Ayanda Jitabete, for Best Female TV Personality and Celebrity Personality of the Year. Voting closes on the 20th of November at midday.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get double accident cover with a clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. Easy to apply, no medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS SAFM to 48031. That's 48031. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Extraordinary is built on innovation, and Vodacom Business is leading the way. They provide the cloud that scales with ambition, AI that drives smarter decisions, IoT that connects what truly matters, and secure connectivity that keeps everything moving. From small enterprises to public sector solutions, Vodacom Business is creating a future where every connection counts. Stronger businesses, thriving communities, a nation ready to lead. Visit www.vodacombusiness.co.za. Together, let's build the extraordinary. Vodacom Business, future together.
You could spend 10 minutes trying to fix the office printer or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. For her 2025 Hyundai Exter, 65-year-old Helena now pays only 398 Rand a month. And for her 2024 Haval H6 4x4, 50-year-old Priya pays just 1,178 Rand a month. Ready to get more out of your car insurance? SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Paul Biya has secured his 8th term in office. He's the world's oldest president. He's been declared the winner of the Cameroon presidential election.
I have told you and I continue to tell you, this is a guy in Cameroon who has ruled it 93 years. He doesn't speak. He can't speak. He is completely out of his mind. He doesn't know where he is. All the leaders in Cameroon, the president of the Senate is 93. The president of the parliament is 89. Another one is 82. Another one is 91. Oh, the army general, the police commander is 93. Oh, look, I am not against age.
Dr. David Masinga, the International Relations and Conflict Resolution.
Ashraf Garda on SAF.
The Expresso Morning Show has been nominated in 5 categories in the 3rd Annual National Film and Television Awards South Africa.
It all happens on Saturday, the 22nd of November 2025 at the South African State Theatre in Pretoria. And public voting is open from the 13th of October to the 20th of November at midday.
So visit nationalfilmacademy.com, register and vote for Expresso Morning Show in all 5 categories.
Then, of course, catch us weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. right here on S3.
Ish, at school I was falling behind. They thought I wasn't trying, bruh. Truth is, I couldn't see well, and I felt as small as the words on the board. And then, teacher came to sit with me and realized I needed glasses. Bruh, now everything's changed.
Take time to listen. With enough love and support, children don't just catch up, they thrive.
Visit holdmyhand.org.za.
Together, we can change their future.
With the ever-changing financial landscape, it can be difficult to make sense of all the moves at times. Join me, Jimmy Moyaha, on the SAFM Market Update with MoneyWeb, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 to 7 p.m, as we break down the key market trends, top financial stories, and smart investment insights, all in one place. It's everything you need to stay financially informed and ahead of the curve.
Shayla Ndikumana on SAFM.
10 past 2 p.m. Central African time. It is the Full Circle with Shayla Ndikumana standing in for Bridget Masinga. We're going to continue with a follow-up on the Madlanga Commission. Retired Ekurhuleni Metropolitan Police Department Deputy Chief Rivo Spies continues with his testimony at the Madlanga Commission.
Last case EMPD discussed with IPID on the 7th of March, and that's your item 7. Could you turn to deal with that one?
Maybe before you do that.
Yes, Commissioner.
Commissioner, let me just check.
7th of March, and that's your item 7. Could you turn to deal with that one?
Maybe before you do that.
Yes, Commissioner.
Commissioner, let me just check this. In that item 6, the cobalt matter, you say in your explanation to the extreme right, then Stolz Mackenzie arrived on the scene with EMPD vehicles. How does it work? And I ask that because in the preceding paragraph, you say the SAPs were already on the scene. So to have the EMPD come in, how does it work? Is it by invitation? Would there have been a call? Does there necessarily have to be a call for support from the SAPs? Or EMPD is free to just attend any crime scene within his jurisdiction?
Commissioner, normally, if we're operating in the same area, we can arrive at the same time or just after SAPS is on the scene. We can also arrive at the same scene because of our patrols and the way that we react to scenes. It could be that there's a crime reported on the radio and officers from all over respond to the scene. And whoever arrives first on scene, there's a national standing until we can hand over to SAPS, who is then the lead on that scene, forensics and whoever from the detectives and that. However, if SAPS is first on scene, they do exactly the same. They will preserve the scene, and we will not be allowed to enter into a scene if it is there. And I think that's what happened here. Is this Captain Carla Hartley, it was her scene, and she chased the officers away. So you don't belong into my scene. And it's also outside our area. It's Delmas is closer to our area, to the border, but it's also outside our area. And we will not respond because everything reported in Ekurhuleni, everything in there, when we respond to scenes, we will respond within Ekurhuleni. If it is outside our jurisdiction, then the city of Johannesburg or the city of Tshwane would invite us formally to say, please come and help this operation, or we're going to have an intergovernmental relationship roadblock. We need extra manpower. Please send people. And then there's a full operation plan and approval before we actually deal with these scenes.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloyi. I'd invited you, Commissioner, to then deal with your last item on this table, item number 7.
This was the most serious remark, and when Mr. Makagula started to mention this, he spoke the most, and NOMSAS added a little bit to it. They immediately stated that there's threats against their lives because of this. There's a very serious investigation that they're doing into a murder case. This murder took place on 15 April 2022 in the Brakpan area, and it's being investigated by IPIT already, where it traced back to a body was found in a dam. So initially it was said to us it's Nigel Merivale Dam in the Brakpan area. Don't know the exact dam, but this was traced back to the same group of officers who was there together with civilians. It's not one of the civilians yet mentioned. So there was a civilians on the site as well. And what was alleged is that they tortured this person on the scene, where they used a method called tubing, which is a piece of rubber that you pulled over a person's face and you suffocate the person. So they tubed this person, and at a stage, the actual the person who he has actually turned state witness. He submitted a 204 application and statement as well. He said that the person who they were torturing and questioning or interrogating, he actually had said to them, but he's got money in the house, 500,000 rand, he'll pay that if he could lose him. And then the next moment, this person, they killed him. And from the scene, they called Brigadier Makwanasi after it took place now. And Brigadier Makwanasi arrived on the scene in a white Golf. And he then proceeded to direct them how to clean the scene. And they placed the body of the victim on this civilian person's bakkie. And they instructed him to go dump the body, which he then duly did. And then when it came out, and IPIT's investigating it, this person who did it, he turned state witness, according to him. He contacted me about 2 weeks ago again to say that he is a state witness. He gave a Section 204 statement to turn state witness, and he's committing everything. And so it is a confirmed case of where it happened, where Makagula was carrying the docket, and this stems from April 2022 already. And when we were informed of this, it was March 2023. And that's one of the reasons as well why we believe that a murder case that's already running for a year investigation, with witnesses, with a body, with everything already there, we thought it's imminent that he would be arrested extremely quickly thereafter. And yet here we are, 2025, and nothing has yet happened. So none of those officers has been charged that we know of. the case does not go forward anywhere. It is still being investigated. That's what my impression is from it. Also, from internally, we couldn't do anything against the officers because to us it's hearsay from IPID. They inform us of this, but they're not prepared to give us anything in their docket, which we understand. It's a murder investigation, and they don't want to give us anything. But it is, to us, we thought that that would expedite that the arrest will happen and that the court cases will follow from that as well.
So if the commission were interested to interrogate the cause of delays in finalizing or prosecuting these matters that you have referenced, you're suggesting it is to IPID that the commission must turn?
Correct, Commissioners. All our cases where the policemen are directly involved is handed over or taken over. Never mind handed over. It's taken over by IPID. They investigate the police when the police are wrong. So all the matters that we know of, that we mentioned here, has already been in the possession of IPID, already known to them, and they are investigating it.
So as at the date of your retirement, to the best of your knowledge, this is where these matters stood, which was in February 2025?
Correct, Commissioners.
You have a second part of this evidence where you say since that meeting with IPID, that is the 6th of March 2023, 2 more cases involving EMPD officers have been opened by IPID. You deal with that at page 17. Can you take us quickly through those 2 cases?
The first one is the case where I'm the complainant in. The fraud, the uttering, it's these vehicles that was allegedly donated by CAT VIP to us. I am the complainant in that matter because I initiated the investigation, and I have at that stage in March, when we had the meeting with IPID, they alleged, but there need to be a complainant in this matter. So I undertook that. I know everything about the case. I'm the one who gave the instruction for the investigation. And up to that stage, with all the knowledge of the separate statements that we have already obtained for an internal disciplinary hearing, I made then the statement as the A1 statement. It was commissioned at Crystal Park Police Station, and it was then handed to Makagula in his possession, and it was registered at Boksburg as a case number under 26202/2023. This matter is the one that actually kick-started off the disciplinary side on the one side. But in the 2024 era, I don't know the exact date, I heard rumors that this case has been withdrawn, even though IPID constantly have contact with me and tell me that they're still investigating it, and they're still obtaining statements from everyone, and they're still busy with it. They constantly told me that this case is still being investigated. IPID Makagula himself, and then from February this year, there was a new investigator, a senior investigator, Kulu. Commissioner, I hope that is the correct pronunciation of he will be cross if I pronounced his surname wrong tonight. But he is from KZN, and he was drafted to come and fix something in the docket, and then he was released again back to KZN. And last month he came back again to do another portion of the docket. But when with a friend of mine then in the South African Police Service, when they look on the CAS system itself, where the case number is registered, that case has been withdrawn on the CAS system by a local South African police officer, a lieutenant colonel, at Boksburg itself in September 23 already. So even though IPID is alleging that they still investigated, they still contact me, they still have dealings where they say they're waiting for this or they're waiting for that. Up to now, on the CAS system, the case has actually been withdrawn as onopgespoor, which is undetected. And this happened in 2023 already on the CAS system.
Before you deal with the next matter, I think you may want to consider a correction to your statement.
Perhaps before that, have you, Commissioner, have you ever made inquiries as to why IPID is giving you to understand that investigations are ongoing when in fact the docket was closed as far back as 2023?
Commissioner, I have, and I've queried it with IPID themselves as well, and they have told me that they will investigate that as well. With the senior investigator, Kulu, he took a supplementary affidavit from me about 3 weeks ago as well. I asked him specifically as well, say, what's happened with this? And he says, no, he showed me, he's actually had the docket with him. He says, I'm now temporarily the investigator again because there's something else that I need to obtain in this docket directed from the DPP. The reason for it was that the docket was originally registered at Boksburg. And the query came up is that why is it not at Germiston? Because the vehicles were registered in Wadeville. That's where the crime occurred. And my answer to that was it started in Boksburg. Brigadier Makonasi's office, where his police office where he works from, is situated in Boksburg. And it happened all over. So it happened in Boksburg, it happened in Germiston where the vehicle fleet section is. It happened at Wadeville where the registrations was done on Natus, and then when the vehicles were deregistered again from our names, it happened in Silverton in Tshwane. So it happened over the province, and we had to choose a starting point where to. So I started it at Boksburg because none of the prosecution side wants to touch the docket. I don't know why, but everywhere where you get, they say, no, it's not my station, it's that station. It's not my court, it's that court. So I had to give a statement as to why did I choose Boksburg. But I don't have an answer. I have got the officer withdrawn it. I've got his name, but it's been withdrawn on the gas system, and we've reported it to IPID. It was mentioned, and it's been escalated to a national level in the South African Police Service, where we as municipal police have requested at a national level to Commissioner, the National Police Commissioner, where we have requested that a national task team be established to investigate corruption and crime within municipal police departments. And the National Police Commissioner has assigned officers from DPCI and senior officers, brigadiers, to actually assist us to establish a task team so that we can, from a national level, because we as municipal police are overlooked when it comes to investigation, and we are there's a group of officers right through the country of municipal police that commit crimes, but they are not being investigated properly. One of the reasons I touched on it is that in terms of the Racketeering Act, or in terms of what the Hawks must investigate, there's limits of like 100,000 Rand incidents, where we are saying is, if you go and look at what bribery is being committed by traffic officers and municipal police officers, if an officer work 8 to 10 hours a day and he have contact in that session with members of the public and he issues a fine every hour, he needs to issue 8. So very quickly you can do maths. If he doesn't issue, it's like 2 to 3 minutes to issue a fine. If it's an argument and a long lecture as well, let's make it 10 minutes. He still need to issue 50 to 60 in his normal day because he's been employed as a law enforcement officer, not a shoe salesman. He must arrest people, he must give notices, he must do law enforcement. However, there's officers that issue one fine in 6 months or one in a year. And when you start looking at that and you calculate the possible contact that he had with public and the amount of complaints on the other side, and then the rumors of if it's a drunken driving, it's 4,000, 5,000 Rand, and you start calculating that, you will see that those type of officers is actually doing 100, 200,000 Rand a month, if based from that, if you start just doing normal maths. And then you start looking at how officers live. They drive luxury vehicles, they live luxury estates. And when you ask your own counsel and you ask anyone, but can we do lifestyle audits on officers? It's always no, it doesn't allow it. So lifestyle audits is reserved at the moment for maybe the heads of departments or the city managers or the mayors. There's lifestyle audits. But at a lower level, there is no lifestyle audits at all. That's something that need to be, according to me, made compulsory. Is that you cannot be a law enforcement officer and not be vetted to do your work.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I wanted to to draw your attention perhaps to something that might require correction. The case you just discussed at page 17, you cite as a Boxback CAS 2620223. If you turn to page 19, paragraph 36, third line from the bottom, you refer to a case number 262032023.
It's correct, Commissioner. It's March. It's
It's
262 of March.
Okay. So under this, in this table, we should correct the 02 to 03 for
Correct.
the correct CAS number. Thank you. That then leads us to your second case that you have since learned of since your last meeting with IPID on the 6th of March 2023. Thanks.
Correct. In the very first week, this matter already took place in 2024, but in the very first week of my retirement, as I finished, not everyone, a lot of people that used to work with me still sent me information. And a lot of people, private people, didn't know that I retired. So they will still send me as if I'm the deputy chief of at Ekurhuleni. They will still send me information and tell me stuff that happened. And this is publicly in the news as well, where 6 officers from the drug enforcement unit was arrested because they extorted plus minus 80,000 rand from a foreigner. These officers were arrested, detained, they were released on bail, and those officers have to date not been disciplined. Not even a disciplinary matter started against them. And they are reporting directly to Dion Singh, the brigadier that was suddenly promoted last year by Mkwanasi as well. He reported directly to him. It's a drug enforcement unit. They've been what the officers speak to me and phone me and say, can it not be fixed? They were actually promoted in the sense that they've been deployed to do VIP protection, where they protect the people that stay behind, which is no threat analysis, nothing has been done on them at all. So they are being put as drivers for Bihari, for Kasheka, for Sarah Chita. They've been made drivers for these officers. So it's as if these officers has now suddenly been protected and they just moved aside from the drug enforcement unit and they are being protected by them. But this happened after I left already. So it's information that's constantly being sent to me about this arrest that took place. And I saw it in the news as well that it happened, but the incident took place in 2024 as well. And it's also investigated by IPID, and IPID did the arrest when they were detained.
Thank you. Are
you moving off the table?
I was going to.
Okay. In the first item, the blue lights one, right at the end of your explanation, you say you were informed, that very last sentence, you say you were informed by IPID of direct links between CAT VIP and Ekurhuleni politicians. Do you care to explain a little bit more there, if you're able to?
What happened there is that the same journalist who queried initially, Mr. Jeff Wicks, he had, at that same time, he was busy running an expose in News 24, where every day or every week he would release a snippet of information. And the information he released was more aimed at the Tembisa Hospital finance scandal, where the whistleblower Babita Dukaran was murdered. So the angle that he approached was from that side. And he attached that then to the Brigadier Mkwanasi, as the newspapers called him, Blue Light Blazer. So in that situation, these links were made, is that this hospital scandal linked is to politicians based in Ekurhuleni, plus it is linked to this Blue Light Blazer then, who assists him as a policeman to get all their functions performed in there. That is how that came up. It's part of the newspaper article expose that Mr. Wicks did.
And then lastly, I mean, we've gone through the list of the criminal conduct that, or the alleged criminal conduct that you discussed with Mr. Magagula, and some of it has been raised by commissioners as matters for disciplinary action, and you've explained why. Is it a case of, because of the environment, those who had the authority to request disciplinary or to even authorize disciplinary action, such as yourself and the chief, simply gave up on it? And I ask because we, at least in the case of the blue lights, we have a request from the chief for a tribunal, disciplinary tribunal to be set up. So we know there's a process which the senior people like yourselves could instigate, and yet we don't have anything done in respect of the others, the many cases that you've referred to. Is it fair to say you simply gave up on initiating disciplinary processes?
No, Commissioner. The thing is that we, as the deputy chiefs, we give it to the chief, and it goes through the chief's office to the HR to actually deal with it, to appoint the presiding and the presenting officers, and to make sure that the disciplinary proceeding is happening. However, Chief Mapie was sidelined completely, and he was victimized, and he was suspended, and he was placed on special leave. And every time when he was placed on special leave or anything like this happened, the then Deputy Chief Mkwanasi was the acting chief, and he failed to forward it to the correct HR processes. So it is not that we didn't try to do anything. I was even accosted that we are trying to push the matter on a criminal side, and I was threatened by the city manager in the same manner as what the chief was. So even though we tried to go to the corporate HR staff, and at that stage, Polani and Lisa, who was eventually dismissed during this period that we tried to inform them and say, carry on with this matter, what is the challenges and the problems? But then the chief would be placed on special leave, or we would be suspended. And then Mkwanasi was acting, and nothing happened then with these matters.
When you say you were threatened by the city manager, I mean, if it's still coming, if it's something that you're still going to deal with, you don't know. Is it still okay? All right, that's fine. I'll leave it then. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloyi. That leads us then to paragraphs 36 and 37 of your statement, Commissioner, and you deal with 3 annexures in a row: RS 13, RS 14, and RS 15. And the 3 annexures relate to the quote-unquote blue lights issue. Am I correct in your paragraphs 36 and 37?
Correct, Commissioners. RS 13 is my original affidavit, which was commissioned at the Crystal Park Police Station and signed related to the registration of the vehicle, false registration of the vehicles in the city's name, and the operational plan that was falsified, the uttering that took place. So RS 13 is my original affidavit.
And we have dealt, I believe, quite extensively with the issues from your perspective relating to this matter. And this affidavit more or less reiterates what you've already told the commissioners. Is there anything out of this affidavit that perhaps you believe we may not have brought to the commissioner's attention that you would want to do so now? It would appear that we have covered everything.
No, it's correct. Everything up to now is covered actually in my affidavit.
Okay. The next one then is your RS 14. And this you describe appearing at page 41 of the annexures file. This you describe as a picture of the docket in respect of the case registered by Mr. Magagula.
Correct. When you do a affidavit and you are the A1 complainant in a police docket, which is the SFS 3, there's a annex in the front of that statement which is the 3M statement portion, which then state the date and the time and the station where it's registered, and then the CAS number that is there. It goes part of your A1 affidavit. This gets put on front to lead that, which is then registered with SAPS in a normal docket.
And lastly, in paragraph 7, you've got your RS 15. And lastly, at your paragraph 37, you've got an extra RS 15. You had, I think, briefly touched on this in explaining the fate of the criminal case you had caused to be opened regarding this blue lights issue. And can you deal then with
Correct.
an extra RS 15, which you say is proof that the matter was withdrawn?
This is a screen print of the CAS system that the South African Police Services use, listing this CAS number in the top right corner, 26203 of 2023. It states the date when it was registered and when it was handed over to the first investigator on the SAP system only. It's not the real investigator then. But then at the last date at the bottom, it's 2023 10/12, which is 12 October 2023 at 16:27. It states the investigating officer. I don't know if I can mention his name or should mention his name.
He's a public official.
It was Lieutenant Colonel Mike Whiskey in Tswana, and it was then, and this is Afrikaans version, it was closed as onopgespoor, which means undetected.
What does undetected mean?
It's when you don't have any evidence in any docket and you cannot do anything further than it's undetected. It's if I, for instance, let's say there's a break-in at my house tonight and my motorcycle is stolen and the detectives come out, investigate everything, there's no fingerprints, there's nothing, they cannot find anything, there's no CCTV footage, then it will be very close to say, but they can't find any evidence on the scene, the docket is undetected and the docket will be closed as undetected.
How do you reconcile that conclusion with the IPID report we looked at, we worked through on Friday, in terms of which IPID made certain specific findings of fraud and corruption in respect of these very activities, and recommended that Brigadier Mkhwanazi be disciplined? How do I reconcile that IPID finding in the human resource environment with this undetected finding now in the criminal case arising from the same facts?
I cannot answer that, Commissioner. That's why I say this is very strange that a local police station at a station is actually closing the docket as if it's undetected and it's archived and stored in the archive and not being further investigated. This, while IPID is still investigating, they actually released a negative recommendation that there must be discipline steps taken, and the docket is still being, according to them, to me, it's still being investigated in a criminal matter, criminal investigation. It was already a few times thereafter presented to the DPP to actually make further recommendations, and it's still, as I stated, 2-3 weeks ago, senior investigator Kulu actually just still took a supplementary affidavit from me. So on the one side, there's this IPID is carrying the docket, they're investigating it according to them, but on the other side, I have this proof from the CAS system that says the docket is closed as undetected at the local police station. So if you do inquiry now and you're searching anything on the SAP system, this will not reflect as an open case anymore.
Which leads me to ask you perhaps a fairly stupid question. Is the matter open or closed? Where are we at?
I really don't know, Commissioners.
Okay.
To me, IPID says it's open, SAP says, or the SAP station says it's closed. But I don't know the status of it genuinely because it's a detective busy investigating the case. I don't know what the status of the docket is.
I think Commissioner Baloyi has got it.
I don't have an answer to your question.
You know, a question of your own.
Let me ask my question. Is it not perhaps, and I think I want to ask more a practical question, that your evidence is that the IPID have the docket as I understand you.
Yes, Commissioner.
Practically, what does it mean? What's remaining at the SAPS then, if IPID has the docket? And I'm asking the question to try and suggest: is it not possible that the local station has only a cover that, as you have given us here, and there's nothing inside it because the docket, because the docket is with the IPID, and because he knows nothing about the IPID involvement and progress in the matter, he then, because he's left only with a shell of a docket, he then considers it to be closed. Is it not
Commissioner,
possible?
normally, what will, in other cases that I have knowledge about what happened, is that if IPID takes a docket at a police station, it gets transferred to them electronically. So the docket is actually maybe a manual, practical hard copy that IPID takes, but on the CAS system itself, the docket is transferred to say whoever the detective is at IPID, so that the South African Police Service can trace their dockets where it actually is on the system. So the correct procedure that I've seen in other matters is that the IPID detective will actually sign for the docket, and on the CAS system, it will be transferred into their name. And then once they finish with the docket and it goes to court, it will be they who take the docket to the court. So in terms of the South African Police Service practicality rules, that's how it would normally work. So in this matter, I don't really know why it was cancelled or withdrawn. I don't know if there's just a skeleton piece of paper that was left behind, but Mr. Makagula is the one who went to Boksburg, who did the actual physical, here is the docket, and he had copies of our docket. So he already had a complete docket with him, and there would have been no docket at the station left behind at all, because Mr. Makagula is the one who carries the docket.
In your experience, given your experience, the once IPID, assuming that IPID is still, you accept what Mr. Ekulu said to you, he's continuing to do the investigation. Once that is done and finished, is there any difficulty in him enrolling the matter, getting the matter to be enrolled in the light of this from the SEPS, which in SEPS system, which says the case is closed?
Commissioner, that I do not know, but to enroll the matter at court, I would assume that IPID can just go to the court and say, this docket is concluded. Control prosecutor, here is a complete docket. Please enroll onto your court register. I believe that there would be no impact from this at all. The only impact this will have is if someone do an inquiry to say who's the accused, who's anything like that, it will come up as it's closed. The docket has been closed as undetected.
Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner. Did I understand you to say, as of 2 weeks ago, it would appear that Investigator Kulu has taken over this investigation? Because you've been talking about Magagula thus far. What is the actual position today as we speak, to your understanding?
I was contacted 2 weeks ago by the investigator Kulu to say that he has been recalled from KZN to come back up and to conclude a specific portion, a Section 205 application and my statement. He was tasked to do that. And he only did that portion, then he went back again. But telephonically, he's told me that he will come back up again because it's expensive apparently for him to stay up here. He's deployed in KZN, he's not from here.
Okay. This then will lead us to your paragraph 38 at page 20, where you conclude on this chapter.
Correct, Commissioner.
Yes, you may speak to that.
It's just that last portion that I already touched on, is that 2 weeks ago, the witness who turned state witness contacted me and he explained the whole situation to me again, and he confirmed everything that took place, and that he also informed me that he gave to Magagula a Section 204 statement already, and that he has turned stateless. That's what he informed me.
And that's in respect of the murder case you have listed under item 7.
Correct. It's in relation to the murder case, and that he's turned state witness, and he's already given statements to that effect as well.
Oh, thank you. Your next main topic is headed Internal Disciplinary Process and Interference. And under this topic, you deal with a few subheadings. Let's start with your first, disciplinary action against Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi. Would you like to take the commissioners through that part of your evidence?
Obviously, I initiated the investigation because I was the acting chief of police, but Colonel Erasmus, because he heads internal affairs and they were still reporting to me as caretaker, he kept me abreast of as the investigation would go on. And after his internal investigation has been completed, he submitted it to the chief of police, who is Commissioner Mapie. And the dossier and this letter from Commissioner Mapie was then forwarded to the director, human resources, the employee relations section, which is Kolani and Nisa. He has been made the authorized representative by the city manager. She delegated it to him to appoint presiding and presenting officers in serious matters when it's a formal hearing and that. So in that process, Mr. Nisa prepared the pre-suspension, and it was signed by him as recommended, and then by Ma'am Linda Kasheka, who was the head of human resources. It was then served on him for a period that he was suspended for a period of 3 months, starting from February 24th, 2025 to May 24, 25. Mr. Nisa proceeded to appoint a presiding and a presenting officer firm, 2 different lawyer firms. Matjang is one of them. And in this process, the draft disciplinary charge sheets was drawn up by Matjang, and it was then sent back to us. And we, in our dossier, when they sent it back to Colonel Erasmus, he approached me, and we then had a meeting with Mr. Nisa, Chief of Police, Colonel Erasmus, and myself, where we discussed the charge sheet, because initially there were only 4 charges which relate to the registration of the vehicles that was in there. But during Colonel Erasmus' investigation, there was another matter that came up, which we then suggested, but Brigadier Mkhwanazi made in his own statement, which he gave, he alluded to more donations that he received to the value of 300,000 Rand from Medicare 24, which then draw our training academy into the matter as well. And we then suggested that these 2 charges must be added as well, because it also is a contravention of the MFM Act and the policy of receiving gifts and donations. This was corroborated by then he was the brigadier of the training academy, Ndumiso Kwabe, who made a statement to say that Brigadier Mkhwanazi assisted him and informed him that he can go to Medicare 24, which is situated in Boksburg. The training academy, we would train recruits, and part of the recruitment training, they would have POEs, which is portfolio of evidence, which is like an exam paper or projects that they must complete for these purposes. And the training academy ran out of paper, and there was a shortage of POEs. So Brigadier Mkhwanazi then arranged that Brigadier Ndumiso Kwabe can go straight to Mike van Wyk at Boksburg, and they will then create and generate our POEs, which they then subsequently did. The masters were there, and then they printed these. And so this is all in this docket already for internal misconduct.
Commissioner, earlier you explained the issue or question of donations, and those purported to be donations to the municipality. But now the admission that you referred to by Brigadier Mkhwanazi an admission of receipt of donations amounting to 300,000 rand. Was this receipt of donations on behalf of the municipality?
Correct, Commissioner. It was, and it's I reference it.
I'm looking at page 44 of Annexure RS 16, bottom half of the page. That's where reference is made to the cadet examination at the college. That's the heading. So you say that would be donations to the municipality, not to him personally.
Correct, Commissioner. It's in the internal investigation.
Yes.
Colonel Erasmus approached Brigadier Mkwanasi and stated that he must give a version of what took place in this event. And Annexure RS 16, page 43 to 45, is his submission that he made a statement which he signed off on to say, but all of this took place. And he explained then that we, for instance, even the Medicare 24 and CATS security services, it started already in 2020 during COVID. So in his own statement, he stated that. And then on page 44, in the middle portion, projects undertaken with CAT. It started off with point 1, which states cartels examination at the college. We engaged the team when we had challenges of stationery at the college when cartels were about to write exams, and there were serious institutional challenges with printing papers and ink. We requested their intervention, and the commitment that Mike van Wyk made and fulfilled in terms of printing and producing documents that made cartels to write the exams with our EMPD at the cost of more than 300,000 rand at that time, as per their estimation. So that portion is where he states for himself that we accepted again a donation to that value. And the charges that we then disciplinary side is that again it's non-compliance with the policy of declaring donations as and when they occurred, and that the correct process must be taken with regards to donations. And I know that it's maybe a Freudian slip, but
the cartels instead of cadets.
Yeah, it could be a Freudian slip, but it is. We took a long time, but we believe it would be cadets. When we don't speak to our recruits, we speak to them as recruits or students.
Yes.
We don't speak to them as cadet, but it's possible that cartels is actually referring to cadets.
Yes, I almost said that when Chief Mapie was testifying. I almost said Freudian slip, but I stopped myself. There it is. You've said.
But it's my opinion.
You've said it. All right. I sought that clarification, Commissioner, because reading paragraph 41 of your statement, one might think that you are saying that Brigadier Mkwanasi received the donation in his personal capacity. So that's why I just sought clarification whether this was a donation to the municipality in the manner you explained this morning.
Commissioner, it's maybe my grammar. It says that Brigadier Julius Mkwanasi had personally admitted to receiving a 300 Rand donation from a subsidiary, and then I carried on. But it's not. It's from his personal admittance that this donation was not declared.
Chair, through you, I think the chair is correct. What is expressed in the statement is slightly different from what is in the actual document. The document makes it clear that the donation was to EMPD. The phraseology in the statement would appear to suggest that that donation was made to Brigadier Mkwanasi personally, right? And that is not that wasn't your intention.
No.
And perhaps then to avoid any confusion and miscommunication, the statement should read, this evidence revealed that Brigadier Julius Mkwanasi had personally admitted to EMPD receiving that donation. Would that resolve the problem?
That's correct.
Okay, which I do so. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
And then obviously after that meeting we had, and we read this statement, and then it was decided that Colonel Erasmus must inform the lawyers to add charge 5 and 6 as well, because it's again a contravention of the donation policy.
Thank you. That then takes us to the second leg of this main topic of disciplinary processes and interference. You now have a sub-chapter titled Intervention by Human Resources, starting at paragraph 43.
At this stage, this is already when his suspension is starting to end. There's an intervention by Kasheka where she, as the head of HR, sent a letter to him that he must come back to the office and that his suspension ends. But at the same time, when these charge sheets were served on him, the lawyers sent it to Kolani and Lisa to say, please ensure that the charge sheets are served on Mkonasi. And he in turn gives it to a person with the name of Tamis Zambe, who is a senior person working at HR as well. And there's other interactions that happen at the back end that I know now, but I wasn't present when this took place. But at that stage as well, I asked Mr. Zambe, why are you not serving it? Because I was CC'd in the charge sheets when it was sent, and I was following the process. And then at a stage, I'm at HR and I ask him, why are you not serving this? Why are you keeping it at bay? It's not being served to him at all. And then he said to me, is that he phoned Mkonasi to say to him, come to the office to come and fetch these charge sheets. And Mkonasi told him over the telephone that I spoke to Kasheka.
Live from Pretoria, Gauteng, the hearing of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry is what you were listening to, bringing us to the end of the Monday edition of The Full Circle with Shayla Ndikumana, again standing in for Bridget Masinga. To the team that was, what a stellar job. It has been a pleasure working with you, Tuto Sereme and Zelma Qibi on technical, Junior Thiri on digital. On production, we had Ntosh Tlokwana and Tabiseng Chilwane. My name is Shayla Ndikumana. We are going to be handing over to John Kharka, who's standing in for Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse. Please do take care of yourselves, and let's get the latest in news with Onde Lambana.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
Thank you, Shayla, and the team on the top stories. Case against July unrest instigators underway, and ceasefire deal between Thailand and Cambodia suspended. For SAFM News, I am Onde Lambana, and a very good afternoon. The Durban High Court has heard that there were more than 160 WhatsApp groups created with the intention to cause public disruption during the 2021 July unrest in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng. This is according to evidence led by the state's first witness, the Hawks Major General Gopal Govender, who is National Coordinator for Unrest Investigations. He's testifying in the trial of Umkhonto weSizwe Party Member of Parliament, Duduzile Zuma Sambudla, who pleaded not guilty to the charges against her. Zuma Sambudla faces 1 count of incitement to commit the offense of terrorism and 2 counts of incitement to commit public violence. General Govender informed the court that more than 100 persons of interest were identified by the Hawks from 8 WhatsApp groups.
My Lord, there was a total of 164 WhatsApp social media chat groups that was created for the sole purpose of communicating from a high level to the ground forces. My Lord, I must place on perspective that these chat groups all did not start after the 7th of July. There was quite a few that started immediately after the 29th July, the Constitutional Court's finding on the 29th.
On the 29th of which month,
29th of June 2021.
Please note the following story may upset sensitive listeners and young children. The Circuit High Court sitting at George in the Western Cape has sentenced a man to life in prison for hacking his wife to death with a panga in 2022. 34-year-old Rodney Witbooi was also sentenced to 15 years for attempted rape, 15 years for attempted murder, 7 years for housebreaking, and 3 months on a drug charge. He was found guilty last week. In 2022. Witbooi is said to have attacked his 28-year-old wife Suni after an argument with her and her family members. He struck her several times on her head. The other sentences were run concurrently with the life sentence. 5 people have been shot and wounded in Fisantekraal near Durbanville in Cape Town. The incident happened last night. Police spokesperson Wesley Twigg says officers responded to a complaint of a shooting on the corner of Dula Uma and Yolandi Dupre's streets. He says the circumstances surrounding the incident are under investigation and arrests are yet to be made.
According to reports, the victims were standing on the corner when a blue Toyota Tazz drove up to them and opened fire, wounding the victims before fleeing the scene.
The Garden Route District Municipality in the Western Cape says firefighters are attending to a wildfire at Doberkop in Ladysmith in the Little Karoo. The mountain fire was caused by several lightning strikes. Firefighters attending to the incident include Cape Nature and the district municipality. The municipality says ground teams have been dispatched and operations are focused on protecting solar panel infrastructure and to stop the fire from spreading to more areas. Thailand says it's suspending the implementation of a ceasefire deal with neighboring Cambodia after a landmine blast near the border injured at least 2 Thai soldiers. The ceasefire deal, overseen by the U.S. President Donald Trump, was meant to bring an end to July's border clashes in which at least 43 people were killed. The 2 countries agreed to the ceasefire after Trump had threatened not to make a trade deal with them until the fighting stopped. Recapping the top story, the Durban High Court has heard that there were more than 160 WhatsApp groups created with the intention to cause public disruption during the 2021 July unrest in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng. I'm Lambana for SFM News. Headlines at 3:30.
In your sports this hour, Springboks eye unbeaten tour after beating France and Proteas shift focus to India Test. More details at 3:30.
This November, SFM proudly presents the 3rd annual lecture.
And as the Freedom Charter says, no legitimate government could claim authority unless it is based on the will of the people. And I think sometimes people forget that.
SFM invites you to our 3rd annual public lecture, delivered by Chancellor of the Nelson Mandela University, Dr. Geraldine Fraser-Moleketi. The theme of the lecture is Confronting Inequality, Corruption and Unemployment, Rebuilding South Africa's Social Contract for Inclusive and Sustainable Growth. The lecture will take place on the 27th of November 2025 at the Indaba Hotel, Spa and Conference Center in Fourways, Johannesburg. Secure your seat by emailing us at rsvp@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. SAFM commemorates Disability Rights Awareness Month under the theme Celebrating 30 Years of Democracy, creating strategic, multi-sectoral partnerships for a disability-inclusive society. SAFM supports and works tirelessly towards equity and equality for those living with disabilities. Empowerment is key.